Guys, today we're going to talk about finding the GCF by simplification. And the I can statement we're working on is I can find the GCF of two numbers greater than or equal to 100. So let's start by reviewing how to simplify fractions. Okay, so if I have the fraction 18/24 and I want to simplify it, I have to find a common factor for both. Now, I don't need to know the greatest common factor in order to simplify, but that will cut down on my steps. Let's say I don't know the greatest common factor of 18 and 24. I know both of those numbers are even, so I can divide both 18 and 24 by 2. And 18 divided by 2 is 9, and 24 divided by 2 is 12. Well, looking at 9 and 12, I can tell that there is another common factor between 9 and 12, which is 3. So 9 divided by 3 is 3, and 12 divided by 3 is 4. And the only common factor between 3 and 4 is 1. So I know once the only common factor between the numerator and denominator is 1, I know that I have simplified as far as I can. And now I put 18/24 in simplest terms. Try this one. Pause the video and simplify 45/60. Okay, let's see how you did. You might have begun by dividing both the numerator and the denominator by 5 because 45 ends in a 5 or 0 and 60 ends in a 5 or 0. So I know 5 can go into both of those numbers. 45 divided by 5 is 9, and 60 divided by 5 is 12. And once again, I know from the last problem I saw the same situation where 9 and 12, or 9/12, can be simplified again because they have a common factor of 3. So 9 divided by 3 is 3, and 12 divided by 3 is 4. So now I've got 45/60 in the simplest terms, which is 3/4. So how can we use this skill to find the GCF of two or more numbers? Well, let's look, first of all, let's use the factor list method that we talked about in the previous quadrant to find the GCF of 45 and 60. Well, I know 45, let's list their factors, is 1 and 45. 2 can't go into 45, but 3 can because 4 plus 5 is 9. 3 goes into 45 15 times. 4 cannot. 5 can because 45 ends in a 5. So 5 and 9. 6 cannot because 45 is divisible by 3, but not 2. 7 cannot. 8 cannot. And 9 can, which is already on our list. So I know I've got all my factors for 45. Now let's list the factors of 60. Well, we have 1 and 60. 60 is an even number, so 2 and 3. 0 and 6, which can be divided by 3, so 3 and 20. 4 is a factor of 60. 4 can go into 60 15 times. 5, that is a 0 or 5, so I know 5 will work. 5 and 12. 6 works. 6 and 10. 7 does not. 8 does not. 9 does not. 10 does. That's already on my list, so I know I can stop. Now let's put the common factors in the center. They both have a 1. They both have a 3. They both have a 5. They don't both have 9. They both have 15. But they both don't have 45. So I'm done, and my GCF is 15. So let's see how we can get that from simplifying our fraction. Let's simplify, again, 45/60. We started by dividing by 5, the numerator and the denominator. which gave us 9/12. And then we divided again by 3, which gave us 3/4. Getting to the simplest, once I have my fraction in simplest form, I'm going to look back at what I did. I first divided by 5, and then I divided by 3. So let's pull that 5 and that 3 out. If I multiply the two factors I used to simplify, I get 15, which I know is the GCF. Pretty neat. Let's try another. Let's use simplification to find the GCF of 12 and 36. Well, to do this, I'm going to first write 12 over 36, write it as a fraction. And then I'm going to pick some common factors that I know. Well, both of these numbers are even, so I know I can divide the numerator and the denominator by 2. 12 divided by 2 is 6. 36 divided by 2 is 18. These are both even numbers, and you may choose different factors or bigger factors if you know of them. But I'm going to go through this very step by step just to show you how the process works. Now you can choose other common factors that you know of. So 6 divided by 2 is 3, 18 divided by 2 is 9, and 9 and 3 have the common factor of 3. So 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 9 divided by 3 is 3. So now I've got it in simplest form. So let's look at the factors we used to simplify. We used a 2, another 2, and a 3. So when I multiply, 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 3 is 12. I now know that 12 is my GCF. Let's try another problem. Let's use simplification to find the GCF of 12 and 30. So I begin writing it like a fraction. I notice they're both even, so I can divide both by 2. 12 divided by 2 is 6. 30 divided by 2 is 15. 6 and 15 both have a common factor of 3 because 5 plus 1 is 6. I know 3 can go into 6. So 6 divided by 3 is 2. 15 divided by 3 is 5. And 2 and 5 only have a common factor of 1, so I'm done simplifying. And now I look at my factors. 2 and 3 are the numbers I use to divide. So let's multiply them. 2 times 3 is 6. So the GCF of 12 and 30 is 6. Whoops, 6. Now it's your turn. Let's set up this problem. We're finding the GCF of 24 and 32. So I set it up like a fraction. Pause the video and see if you can find the GCF of these two numbers. Okay, let's see how you did. Both of these numbers, once again, are even. So I can divide the numerator and denominator by 2, which gives me 12 over 16. They're even again, so I can divide by 2 again, and I get 6 over 8. And again, if you can think of bigger factors to divide, go ahead and do that. 6 and 8 can both be divided by 2, so 6 divided by 2 is 3. 8 divided by 2 is 4. I have simplified. Now I pull out the factors that I used to simplify. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. And my GCF of 24 and 32 is 8. Try this one on your own. Pause the video and find the GCF of 24 and 40 using simplification. Okay, let's see how you did. First, you should have set this up as a fraction. Then you can divide the numerator and denominator by common factors. So let's pick 2. 24 divided by 2 is 12. 40 divided by 2 is 20. They're both even, so I know I can divide by 2 again. 12 divided by 2 is 6. 20 divided by 2 is 10. I've got two even numbers again, so I know I can divide them by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So 3 and 5 only have a common factor of 1, so I know I'm done simplifying. So I look back at the factors I used to simplify. I used 3 2's. So 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. My GCF is 8. Now it's your turn. Use simplification to find the GCF of the following. We are done with this video. So pause the video and do this in the work section of your WSQ. You can go back and watch any portion of this video as many times as you need to, but don't forget to answer those summary questions and ask me a question when you're all done with the work.